everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad to be back like face to face on the camera. This just school semester has been crazy for me, and I decided to try out vlogging, which I really enjoy, and it seems like a lot of you all enjoy my vlogs too as well, so I'm like really glad. I definitely want to continue on doing like more vlogs. I just think they're like really fun and like easy to like film, because like I can really tell like a whole story through a vlog, you know. And part of this channel is like about books, so like I don't know, I feel like I'm like storytelling through my videos, you know. So yeah, there's that. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the books I've been recently reading. There hasn't been a lot of books, like technically in total I've read 3 books, and I've stuck with like one manga series since like I think April, and I just finished it I think like last week. So yeah, there's not much books I've been reading, but at the same time I'm going to start as far back as I think April or March. I'm not sure when I read this first book I'm going to mention, but I think it was around April or March. And this one is called The Journey to Allah by Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali. And this is a book basically about the journey to Allah, finding Him, and understanding that your actions alone are not going to get you into paradise, but it's also His mercy. But there's things that we can do, good deeds that we can do that can help us to get to paradise. I really enjoyed reading this book, but I didn't finish it. I DNF'd it. I just think that the writing style wasn't for me. Like, there was a lot of good information in the book, and I read like the first couple of pages, but it was really hard to continue on because of the writing style. I think if the writing style was different, I would have like gone through it and finished it more quickly, but it just took me a bit longer because of the writing style. This book is filled with just advice on how to really be steadfast in the deen, and how to really keep yourself aligned with what Allah wants you to do, and how, you know, our journey from Allah is, and like what we should do, what we shouldn't do, those type of things. And just a lot of encouragement again from the hadith too as well. But again, it was just the writing style not for me. But yeah, I gave this book a 3 stars out of 5. So the next book that I read is called A Handbook of Spiritual Medicine by Ibn Dawood. And this one I've seen all over Instagram, like Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube. I see this book everywhere. And so during Ramadan, I was like, you know what, let me just like give it a try. Like, I really want to read it. It seems like a really good book. Basically, this book covers the spiritual diseases that we have within our hearts. So like jealousy or greed, or laziness, the things that can inflict our spirituality or cause us to not feel so spiritually like high or spiritually charged. And I really enjoyed this book a lot. The only thing is that the platform I was reading the book on didn't have all the pages. So there were some pages that were missing, and I didn't really get to grasp like all the goodness that this book had to offer. There was so much detail into like the types of spiritual diseases, and like how to, you know, combat them or how to deal with them. And it gave like also I think like little tidbits or like hadiths from the Prophet ﷺ on like how to deal with them, verses from the Quran. It was just a really good explanation on how to deal with different spiritual diseases and how they can affect you and how to get like rid of them. And I loved it. I loved it a lot. Again, if I just had all the pages, it would have been even more enjoyable, but yeah, I just didn't. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. The -1 star was just because of those missing pages, but this book is really good. Like, if you want to figure out if there's any spiritual diseases in your heart, or if there's anything that you can rectify in your heart, definitely get this book. It's so good, and I love how colorful it is too. Like, I don't think there's many like Islamic books that are like as colorful as this one, or maybe I just haven't found any other Islamic books that are as colorful as this one. But this one I really enjoyed, like the different colors for each spiritual disease and whatnot, and the explanation of it. So easy to read. Like, this book, I mean, anybody can pick it up and understand what the author is trying to say. And again, with the hadith and verses of the Quran, it just makes it that much more understandable, and things will start clicking with you. This next book literally made me cry 3 times. Like, I just like, and not just like cry like, oh, this is sad, oh my gosh, this is, no, like sob. Like, I was studying and listening to like, so this next book I was listening to it on like audiobook, and as I was studying I was listening to it, and I had to pause at one point and just sob. I was just like, oh my god. This next book is called The Power of Dua, and this is by Alia Rayyan. And she is a podcaster. She's on Instagram, and she's also a poet. Oh my gosh, when I tell you that this book, and I think last Ramadan she came out with a book called Ramadan Reflections. I didn't read that one, but this one, I don't know, something about the title Power of Dua like attracted me, and I'm like, you know what, let me just dive into this. You know, everyone was raving about her first book. This next book is probably great too. There's no words I think. I can't even speak. That's how good it is. I can't even speak. This book is so good. Like, okay, basically, it's, as the title says, The Power of Dua, but it's so much more than that. Also, she includes stories of other people and their personal stories about how they made dua about something or how they wanted something to change, and they just explain like their spiritual struggles that they had internally, and then how their duas got answered. And it's like each and every single person's story about what duas they made, like all of them, you see like how Allah not only gave them what they wanted, or maybe didn't give them what they wanted, but gave them something even better. And it just made me cry so much. Sister Alia did an amazing job of explaining how important and powerful dua is. Not just the duas you say with your tongue, but also the duas that you make with your heart, the way in which you make dua, how to make dua, the times to make dua. She also explains about, like, you know, sometimes you may feel like, man, I've sinned and how can I make dua? And she goes into that. Like, it's just everything possible that you can think of about dua and surrounding dua. Like, she answers it fully and explains it so beautifully in this book. Like, I felt like I almost had a teacher in front of me, like, telling me, like, this is dua, like, this is how great dua is, like. And then just, like, when she brings in the personal stories of other people that she knows and their duas and how they got answered, it makes it feel so real. I feel like the way she explains dua in this book and the stories that she tells, it's like they're real people going through real stuff, and their duas are so real. I mean, some of them it's like I could even relate to, and then to then hear about how it got answered and how Allah just showed up for them in a way that they never even imagined, like, that was like what, like, it brought, for me at least, it made dua more real. Like, it made it more real, like, this is a real thing. Like, talking to Allah and asking him for what you want, begging for him for what you want in your life or what you want to change about yourself or about your condition is real, and he will literally show up for you. He will literally show up for you in ways that you will never, like, couldn't ever imagine. I've been seeing this quote actually going around on Instagram. It's like, God has the most perfect track record, yet we trust him the least. And I think that's just, again, so true, because it's so easy to, like, almost, like, not necessarily, I wouldn't say, I guess, yeah, in a way, not necessarily trust completely or have really hope that either your prayers will get answered or your duas will get answered. But I'm telling you, this book, I feel like, is just a perfect example that Allah's track record is absolutely perfect. The way he shows up for you and for the way he shows up for other people is absolutely perfect. The last book that I read, and the one that I just recently finished, but it's technically a manga series, is Yotsuba, and I thought it was just Yotsuba, but I forgot there's the and in the title, but it's called Yotsuba and then exclamation point. And this is by Kiyohiko Azuma. This manga series is like one of the best slice of life comedy, like cutesy, wholesome manga series ever, like ever. So if you have watched my previous vlog, there's this anime that I've been watching called Azumanga Daioh, and it turns out that the same, and so Azumanga Daioh was first like a manga, then turned into an anime. So the mangaka who wrote that is the same one who wrote Yotsuba and I'm just like, it makes sense, because when I was first reading this manga, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so good. Then I got into Azumanga Daioh, and I'm like, why does it kind of remind me of like Yotsuba and like they seem so similar. It's literally made by the same creator, and the fact that he's a man, like, I thought it was a woman out here. I'm like, dang, she really got it patted out. No, it's a old guy, but he does it's just such, like, both of those. I haven't read the manga of Azumanga Daioh, but I have no doubts that it's like just as good as the anime, if not probably even better. And this other manga that he wrote, Yotsuba and, is just so cute. It's like the best slice of life manga ever. It honestly didn't feel like I was reading a long, like 15 volume like manga like some of the other mangas I've read. This one just feels so fluid and everything just flows together so beautifully, and it just feels like one big story, and it just feels like you're going on an adventure. And okay, I need to explain what it's about, but basically it's about this little girl named Yotsuba, and she's just so cute. She sees the world in the like very childish like way because she's a child, but it's just so cute the way she sees the world. And it's just about her and her interacting with, like, you know, her father, the neighbors, and just the people around her. And it's just so like, oh, it's just so wholesome. I started reading this again during Ramadan. Yotsuba says the most wackiest stuff. She does the most weirdest things and comes to like the most like just off, like unhinged like conclusions about like things and people. And it's just so funny. It's so funny. And like there'll be times, for example, like she'll like lie, and like I just love the way he draws her, like when she's like telling a lie, like her eyes will get big and she'll just like look off to the side, and it's just so cute. Like, there's a couple of things that I really love about this manga. One is how the adults interact with Yotsuba and the other kids. Like they're like screaming at her or yelling at her or like any of this, like, you know, kind of like toxic parenting or like any sort of like just projection onto her. They just like accept her for who she is. Of course they'll correct her because again, she's a child, like she does things that she's not supposed to. But it's just so nice to see like how just kind and just mature, like emotionally mature these adults are, and how they interact with Yotsuba, and especially her father. Like her father never yells at her or beats her because she like messes up something. He just tells her, okay, like as long as you don't get hurt and you don't lie, like it's okay. And there's times where she, like, you know, either did get hurt or lied or whatnot. I also love the realness of Yotsuba. Like, she doesn't feel like a fictional child. She feels like a real child. Like everything that she does and says, I can imagine a real life toddler or a real life kid doing. Like it's not far-fetched. It's what you would imagine like a child her age doing. Like it's like the same in real life, you know? So I just love that like transparency, like of just like showing what real kids, you know, like how they are. And it's so beautiful, and she's just so cute. I feel like after reading this manga, it made me just want to get back into the things like I used to enjoy doing when I was a child, and just embrace my inner child, you know, really embrace my inner child. And I think this book is just a great reminder. Even though it's about a little girl, it's not like anything deep, like, oh, like, you know, but I think just reading this book, it's such a great reminder to always be doing things that keep you young or that make you feel like you're young again, you know? And I'm saying this, I'm like 23. I'm literally 23, and I'm saying this as if I'm like 50. That is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If there's any books that you have been recently reading and that you've been absolutely loving, please let me know in the comment section below. I love it when you guys give me recommendations, and I love checking them out and seeing what kind of books you all like to read, and reading them for myself. So yeah, let me know. And again, thank you so much for watching my videos and just showing me all the love and support. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye-bye.